So to kick things off this morning, I want to talk about two things that we all have on our minds. And that's the economy, and at least for those of us that are paid to follow politics, we are focused on the midterm elections just a few weeks away. So I had breakfast about a week ago with some friends at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and a term they are using I think really reflects the way that things are going with us, and the term is secondhand pessimism. So that's when people feel pessimistic about the economy, but personally and company-wise, they're doing just fine. As an industry, we fear the headwinds that we are beginning to face and the looming prospect of a recession. Yet our companies are doing well, and wages are up. We closed out the second quarter at an all-time high of $110 billion in revenue, and that broke the previous record set just the last quarter. We have now had 8 straight quarters of consecutive growth. This growth reflects the overall optimism that I feel and hear from so many of you. Our most recent engineering business sentiment survey from the ACEC Research Institute showed that industry sentiment remains optimistic and is holding steady despite concerns about the overall U.S. economy. But the headwinds are increasingly more evident with concerns around the tight labor market. The Institute's sentiment report found that 51% of surveyed firms turned down work over the past 3 months due to workforce shortages. And there's also real concern about the inability of many of our firms to incorporate the cost of inflation into their overall project costs with their clients. During the conference, the ACEC Research Institute will unveil its newly updated economic impact report and hold a panel discussion on the fourth quarter engineering business sentiment report. I think you'll all want to tune into those discussions. The Institute continues to do great work, and most recently, their newly released Design Build study was recognized by the White House, which adds a whole new level of credibility, not only to the report, but to the Institute. And it's going to help us tell the story to your clients of how to do design build the right way. On the advocacy front, Congress left town to hit the campaign trail ahead of midterm elections, but they still have a few open items that need to be completed before the year ends. ACEC's biggest priority short-term is passage of our legislation to protect firms that took PPP loans during the pandemic. Congress told you to take the loans to save jobs. Then later, the federal government changed those rules, and that forced many engineering firms to give this critical assistance back. And that's just not fair, and we're continuing to work on it. The House passed our fix as part of the National Defense Authorization Act, and we're now focused on Senate passage. Senators Mike Braun of Indiana, Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, and Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin are leading the charge on our PPP amendment, and we're continuing to shore up support on the Senate Armed Services Committee. Our Political Action Committee continues to grow as it supports our advocacy priorities. ACEC PAC has raised more than $900,000 this year already, and we're $200,000 ahead of where we were last year. Our townhouse on Capitol Hill continues to draw crowds. We've held 41 fundraisers this year already, and 11 states have used the townhouse for their own congressional receptions. This work is critical as we look to another potential of disruption on Capitol Hill with the midterm elections. Republicans are projected to turn the House and have a small majority, which is almost always the case when an incoming administration and Congress are of the same party. And there will be a lot of turnover with so many members retiring over the past 2 years. At least 60 House members will be in that job for the first time. Another interesting aside from my recent conversations with the Chamber was that they're urging companies to promote poll working and to even provide days off to work the polls. And the idea there is that they want to promote the value of elections and help to dispute rumors about a lack of election integrity that were spurred after the last presidential election. I think that is interesting and good advice, and I urge you all to consider it with your own teams. Assuming the House turns Republican, it's also very likely that Kevin McCarthy will be the new Speaker of the House. And that means a fair amount of time will be spent on retribution hearings given the divisive climate that we find in D.C. So this is going to be a really difficult environment to promote positive change in, and we're going to need to work extra hard to make sure our voices are heard. Internally, at ACEC, we're making changes to keep up with our core mission of strengthening the business environment of engineering, and we're also making strategic investments to strengthen ACEC to serve all of you better. Our planning cabinet, under the leadership of our chair, Art Barrett, and Melvin Williams, who is really doing overtime duty for us this year. The Planning Cabinet is exploring the creation of new committees to address business opportunities and issues in the energy and technology sectors. Private sector investment in renewable energy is worth $600 billion. Between energy supply and production, investments in this sector are expected to double by 2035 to exceed $1.5 trillion. Nearly all of this growth is expected to come from decarbonization technologies and power generation. We're holding a symposium on the energy market on November 15th in Houston. Registration is live for that event, and I hope that we will see many of you there. Technology is the other focus area. When you think about all the ways technology is impacting our industry, from design tools to drone inspection, to cyber issues related to smart infrastructure or just running your own internal systems. And frankly, how to monetize these expensive technology tools. We could use all of our bandwidth just to deal with these issues alone. But a new technology committee is a great start for our members to convene around an advocacy and business agenda to ensure that we continue to drive technology in our operations rather than the reverse. So I'll wrap with something that I'm personally very excited about. When I came on board 4 years ago, I promised you all that I would make it my mission personally to ensure that ACEC was promoting the essentiality of engineering to aid in this fight against commoditization and to promote this industry to the next generation, which, by the way, is more important now than it ever was. Finally, with COVID hopefully in our rearview mirror, we're getting out there and we're kicking off an engineering roadshow. And we're partnering with ASCE and the American Public Works Association to help us broaden the scope and the impact of our mission. So the Engineering and Public Works Roadshow will allow us to tout thoughtful infrastructure and how it positively impacts the community it serves, with engineering central to that story. Through the roadshow, we'll be targeting policymakers, your clients, and the next generation of engineers that are motivated to make a difference, to show them why engineering is the best place to make that difference. We're planning the first roadshow event to occur this November, featuring the Long Beach International Gateway Bridge, a grand award-winning project from WSP. And I really believe that this roadshow is going to pay dividends and raise our industry's stature among policymakers, clients, and the next generation. And we are very pleased to convene these prominent associations around this effort as we lead this effort. So I do want to say about this roadshow, this year infrastructure is the obvious hook with the recent passage of IIJA. But going forward, we're going to do as much as we can to include projects from the vertical space and in the private market. We know how important that is to you, our members, and we commit to you that that will be part of our agenda going forward, and some of our projects this year will be included in that space, from that space as well. So with that all said, I'll just say ACEC is not an organization that is content with the status quo, and you can see that from the robust agenda that we've laid out for the Council. This aversion to complacency comes directly from all of you. Our member firms are problem solvers. You're a group that's always looking at what's ahead and what you can make better. And we're working to embody that spirit as an organization. I think our discussions over the next few days will reflect that. So thanks for being here this week. And now let's get on with our program.